What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of For the Love of Wrestling. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams. Happy Thursday. It's good to see everybody here today. Good to see everybody start filing in. Got a lot of stuff to talk about as last night it was big business for AEW, and the show kicked off backstage with Renee Paquette. She kind of running through what all is supposed to be going down tonight. And a Mercedes Benz pulls up. We see the door open. We start to see someone come out. And then we immediately cut to the inside. And Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, Taz give us the full run through on the card for the day. You know, lots of hype going on. And then the music drops and we kick the show off with the CEO of Boss 10, Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, whatever you want to call her, Mercedes Vernado, making her debut in her hometown of Boston. Thunderous ovation. Like, it was the worst kept secret since CM Punk's debut on AEW Rampage. But that did not stop the crowd from going nuts with her arrival. We had our good buddy Walter Cruz from the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse Media was in attendance last night. We also had Mikey T, the movie star, an affiliate of NoDQ.com. You've probably seen him a few times on open mic night. He was in attendance. And the only issue I have with her debut, the only issue was the fact that Tony Khan and AEW staff put signs on the chairs for the fans to hold up that said like Monet Crew. You know, we're here for the Monet. Something like that. It's like double-sided. It's like, so you walked into the building and they already told you she was there before she even came out. That was my only issue. Everything else about her debut, from her music to her presentation to her promo to her gear that she was wearing, screamed superstar. Because that is what Mercedes is. She is a superstar. And as long as she has continued to be handled as a superstar, then she very easily could be one of, if not the biggest signings in AEW history. AEW has got a phenomenal women's division that just needs to be booked better. And as long as they are booking to the style of Mercedes, and as long as they continue to treat the women with the respect that they did last night the women main evented. When was the last time you saw women main event on AEW television and not be thrown into that 920 television slot? It has been a long time, if it has happened at all. I can't recall seeing it in my time watching it. I would actually have to go to Noah for that one. But the women main evented last night. I am almost willing to bet that that is something that Mercedes put into her deal. If you want me here, the women need to be treated better and need to main event. Because Mercedes is a main event talent. Mercedes has main evented pay-per-views and PLEs. Mercedes and Bianca Belair main evented night one of WrestleMania. The first time two African Americans were in the main event at WrestleMania, it was those two beautiful black women. That's history. And Mercedes is not going to be treated as anything less than top tier. So kudos to that. In her promo, she talked about how she was home. She talked about how AEW was the only place she could start another revolution, referring to the WWE women's revolution that was started primarily as a result of the four horsewomen, but you can go deeper back than that if you really want to do your homework. She talks about the unfinished business that she has with Willow Nightingale. She talks about the fans and how we are the reason that she is there. So, again, stellar interview, promo, presentation of Mercedes Moné. We would see more of her throughout the night. We'll get there when we get there. Once Mercedes' segment was done, we went backstage and Renee Paquette was with our AEW champion Samoa Joe, and he cuts a promo on Wardlow. On Wardlow. We then go to story time with Adam Cole segment, and again, let me take a moment to praise AEW here for the production on this vignette. You literally had Adam Cole sitting in a chair, a comfy home chair like a recliner, grabbing a book and reading a story out of the book about Wardlow and the Undisputed Kingdom. This is the shit that AEW has needed for the last 5 years. Good production in vignettes and storytelling to help illustrate why matches matter. They really stepped their game up here, and I hope we get more of these story time with Adam Cole segments with other members of the Undisputed Kingdom. Next time Roddy has a title defense, let me see a story time with Adam Cole segment. Next time the Kingdom, Mike Bennett and Matt Taven have a title match, let me see story time with Adam Cole segment. Keep this up. It could very much be like the old PBS show, Masterpiece Theater, where the guy would grab the book and read from it and throw to the production that they were going to show. Like they could do so much with this segment. From there, we actually went to the AEW World Championship match. That was our curtain jerking match. After the two promos and the Mercedes debut, first match of the night was Samoa Joe versus Wardlow for the AEW title. Hard-hitting match here, just as you would expect from the two men. Some great action. Joe got the victory with the Coquina clutch. But where does Wardlow go from here? The whole thing was that Wardlow was going to win the title and bring that to Adam Cole. The Kingdom are the ROH Tag Champions. You've got Roddy with the AEW International Championship, whatever it's called, the All Atlantic title. But now you've still got Wardlow with no title. And he was beaten definitively in the middle of the ring. I don't think Wardlow gets another chance at this unless he can win the Casino Battle Royal that they usually have at Double or Nothing. And that's not until May. So in the meantime, what does Wardlow do? Does Wardlow get ostracized from the Undisputed Kingdom because of his failure? There should be some really good storytelling coming up in the next few weeks with this angle. We'll see if AEW capitalizes or not. but I feel like there should be some really good storytelling here. After the match, Swerve and Prince Nana come out, hit the ring. Prince Nana isn't dancing. Swerve is power walking. He wants some of Joe because he was not pinned or submitted at Revolution. He still feels like he is the number one contender, and Joe just kind of storms off and laughs. And that's about all we really get for this. But there's still some big unfinished business between Swerve and Joe that might get settled at Dynasty, but I still think it needs to hold off until Double or Nothing. We then had the Massey brothers and Kazuchika Okada get interviewed, kind of trying to figure out why Okada joined the Massey brothers in the first place. But it was a whatever segment. Y'all know me and the Massey brothers. I'm just going to move on from there. It led on into the match of the new elite, Kazuchika Okada and the Masseys, versus the Bastard Pack, Penta, El Zero Miedo, and Eddie Kingston. And it was a decent match. Okada, Pack, and Penta all looked amazing in it. Okada pinned Kingston after hitting the Rainmaker Lariat. I'm sure this is going to set up, because it was announced, it's going to set up Kingston versus Okada for the Continental Championship. I think it's a mistake that they're hot-shotting it on Dynamite next week. I think they should build to it at Dynasty, but it's Tony Khan booking. What can I do? At this point, you don't want Okada to lose, so is Kingston going to drop the title and then Dynasty will be the rematch? Yeah, I'm not really sure what they're going to do here, but I feel like hot-shotting this match so quickly is a bad idea. I would build to Dynasty because that's a match that's going to help sell Dynasty. We've already got freaking Ospreay versus Danielson as our first match announced for Dynasty to help sell it. You put Kingston Okada on there, that'll help sell it as well. What do you guys think? Am I off? Let me know. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Darren G, it's good to see you, brother. From there, we had a video package for Adam Copeland, Christian Cage 3. Next week on Dynamite, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, I Quit match for the TNT title. Again, very well produced video package, making the match seem important, reminding us of the history, going all the way back to Sexton Hardcastle and Christian Cage before they were Edge and Christian, before they were Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, giving us that history of how long these two guys have been riding the roads together and been friends. Very well done video package. I am definitely looking forward to and anticipating that match next week. We then had Tony Schiavone interview Will Ospreay in the ring. The crowd was all about Ospreay. They were chanting bruv. We actually had a bruv counter last night. I think it got up to 5 or 6 bruvs from Will Ospreay. We weren't counting the crowd, just what Ospreay said, because Ospreay saying bruv is like Vince Russo saying bro. So we had a bruv counter going last night, and I think we got up to about 6. I could be wrong there. But Ospreay was fired up, talking about his match against Bryan Danielson at Dynasty, how he's got nothing but love and respect for him. But this match is to determine who the best in the world truly is. And I am all about that, man. I am looking forward to that match. From there, we go backstage and we have a Deonna Purrazzo promo. The Virtuosa, long may she fucking reign. cutting a promo towards Timeless Tony Storm and Mariah May. And she basically issues a tag team challenge for next week Dynamite in Toronto. And our good buddy Datilla over at Rangers of Wrestling, want to make sure I give her the shout out. She is speculating that Deanna's tag team partner is going to be none other than Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And you know what, Datilla? I hope you're right. Because I think that could be another huge influx jolt to the arm that the AEW women's division needs right now so desperately. And it would be 3 weeks in a row that we had debuts or returns, because we had Okada last week. We had the Bastard Pack return on Collision last week. We have the debut of Mercedes Moné this week. And then if we get the return of Britt Baker next week, that would be huge for AEW. I'm not going to use the word game changing because I don't think it would be that big, but it definitely would be huge to get Britt back in the division, because there's a lot of people we want to see Britt fight. And if she comes in and starts teaming with Deanna, once Jamie Hayter is healed and can come back, then you've got a way to revisit that rivalry that was getting set up, because Jamie is jealous that Deanna's moved on from her. We then had Switchblade Jay White versus Darby Allin, and this was a banger of a matchup. Switchblade got the victory here, just kind of dominated Darby for a good majority of the match. Post-match, the Bullet Club healed. Post-match, the Bullet Club Gold returned heel and attacked Darby. This brought out the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass, trying to find out what the hell Switchblade and the Guns were doing, because they're supposed to all be a unit. They're the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. Not anymore. After last night, Switchblade turned on the Acclaimed. And you know what? As much as I enjoyed the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, I'm so happy to see Switchblade back being the ruthless Jay White that he should be. Switchblade Jay White as a member of the Bang Bang Scissor Gang was just too hokey and comedic. You knew it was going to be short term. I figured the turn would come at Double or Nothing. That way we could set up something for All In, All Out. But pull the trigger here, and maybe we'll get something coming up at Dynasty where we'll have the Bullet Club Gold versus the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass, championship versus championship. Maybe do a full-on unification match of the two titles, because if we're being real, we don't need two trios titles. We just don't. Let that be one championship that bounces back and forth between AEW and Ring of Honor. You know, kind of like the WWE Tag Team Championships right now, how it's defended on Raw and SmackDown and even NXT. Let the trios titles be the one titles that are defended on Ring of Honor television, on AEW television, on Ring of Honor pay-per-views, on AEW pay-per-views. You don't need to have two sets of trios titles, because honestly, I don't think you have that many trios right now. So many people are injured. You know, Ray Phoenix takes it out of the Death Triangle. You've only really got Penta and Pac. Even if you throw Commander in there as a substitute, it just doesn't work, because Death Triangle is Phoenix. Okay, you've got the new Elite. what other trios do you really have right now? The Undisputed Kingdom, maybe. Whether you go Roddy, Taven, and Bennett, or Wardlow, Taven, and Bennett. You've got the Mogul Embassy, so you've got the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage. I don't watch Ring of Honor, so I don't know who may be over there. But it doesn't make sense to me why you need two trios titles. And yeah, why are we doing an injury angle on Darby Allin when we know he's going to go climb Mount Everest? That just made no sense to me. So you do an injury angle where you attack his leg, but he announced to everybody last week he's going to go climb a mountain. And now we're supposed to believe he's going to go climb a mountain with an injured leg? Come on. That just doesn't make sense. I get you wanted to write him off so that his big return, if he's successful and survives, is dramatic fashion, but come on, yo. From there, we had a tag team match with Lion Hook, that is the Lionheart Chris Jericho, or Corazon de Leon, taking on the Gates of Agony. It was a good but not great match. Hook locked in the Red Rum to get the victory for him and Jericho. Considering it was their first time teaming together, they had pretty good chemistry. I'm curious to see if Lion Hook get thrown into this tag team tournament to declare new champions now that Steen and Darby have vacated the titles. If that's the reason they're together, is to just kind of have an extra team in there, okay, but I don't expect them to go far. We then have Kyle O'Reilly and Renee Paquette, and Kyle O'Reilly kind of is talking about how he never thought he'd wrestle again. 2 years on the shelf. And there was a time he couldn't even pick up his daughter. And, just hearing that kind of made me feel for Kyle O'Reilly. I'm not super familiar with him, but to hear that a father can't pick his kid up, man, because he was so hurt, that dug. Undisputed Kingdom came in and basically said that, if you want to have your match on your own, we'll respect you and do that, but we're here for you if you need it. And Kyle and Roddy kind of embraced, I definitely see this as a setup. Whether O'Reilly joins the Undisputed Kingdom or the Undisputed Kingdom attacks O'Reilly, either way, I see it being a setup. O'Reilly coming into the Undisputed Kingdom could be how they get Wardlow out. That's something to think about, because we all know Wardlow doesn't fit anyways. But if you put O'Reilly in there, then you've got Cole, Roddy, and O'Reilly from the Undisputed era. You're only missing Bobby Fish. Not sure what his status is, if he's injured, if he's retired, if he wants nothing to do with AEW. Not sure when it comes to Bobby Fish, but if you can get him back and put him in there, got a hell of a stable. Because you add in Taven and Bennett, solid. From there, we had a Riho and Willow Nightingale video package. Again, just like the Copeland and Cage one, just like the one at the beginning of the show for Storytime with Adam Cole. Very well produced. They show Riho becoming the first ever AEW Women's Champion. They show Willow defeating Mercedes Moné to become the first ever New Japan Strong Women's Champion. Reminding everybody about that rivalry, the feud, the fact that Mercedes got injured in the match with Willow. Very well done video package here. We then had Jericho issue a challenge to Hook backstage out of respect. I don't remember if they said it's going to be for the FTW title or not, but I feel like this is a good match to set up here. Let Hook get a victory over Jericho, really helped to solidify him. We then had Riho backstage kind of warming up for her match, and Mercedes walked up to her, introduced herself, shook her hand. The two kind of bowed at each other as Japanese tradition. Solid stuff here from both women. And then we go to our main event. Willow Nightingale versus Riho. This was a fantastic main event match. These two women proved why the women deserved the main event spot on occasion. Both women brought it all to the ring, laid it all on the line. Willow got the victory here. But what happens next with Chris Statlander is what I'm wondering. Much like we discussed at the beginning of the show with Wardlow's defeat, getting choked out by Joe, Chris Statlander fought Riho last week, couldn't defeat her. This week, Willow defeats Riho. What is that going to do to Chris? Is Stokely going to get into her mind? Is Stokely going to have Chris turn on Willow? Willow's successful here, so the lights go out. And when they come back on, Julia Hart is standing on the ramp with the TBS title. Sky Blue comes from behind, clips her, takes her down, and they start double teaming her. Chris Statlander doesn't come out to help her. That's supposed to be her friend, her tag partner. Where's Statlander to come and help Willow? Instead, the CEO, Mercedes Moné, hits the ring and helps Willow. This is interesting because I figured Mercedes would get involved some way either during or after Willow's match. She did. I thought that's where she would debut. They didn't pull that trigger because she debuted at the start of the night. But she did come out and get involved during that match once it was over. But you would think they would try to set up Mercedes and Willow. It looks like they may end up setting up Mercedes and Willow versus Julia and Sky. We will hear from Mercedes Moné next week on Dynamite in Toronto. We'll have to see what happens then as far as furthering the storyline and where we go. But overall, last night's AEW, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I thought it was a really solid show. The Massey brothers notwithstanding, thought it was a really solid show. I wasn't sure what I was going to think about the Lion Hook match, if I'm being very honest, but it ended up being a lot better than I expected. And the chemistry between the two teams really kind of clicked. Jericho and Hook worked well together, and I'm curious to see where it's going to go. The fact that the women got the main event, another huge plus for me. Well done, Tony Khan. Keep it up. Don't let it falter from here. Don't let it, slip. Keep this momentum going. That's going to just about wrap up the review. I'm going to throw really quickly to a quick commercial, show you all the upcoming open mic night special events we're going to have coming up here throughout the rest of the year. Come back, hit a couple more shills, and we'll be out of here. Don't go anywhere.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
We are back. So I do want to address very quickly those of you that tuned in yesterday to the watch along coverage of AEW Big Business may have seen Jeff Meacham at the start of the program. I want to go ahead and really quickly address what he said on the air. He is still taking a hiatus from his solo shows. Talk Wrestling, Meech's Musings. That's going through WrestleMania. He said on the air last night that he will bring those back once WrestleMania is over. He may only bring one of them back. He may alternate weeks, where one week he'll do Talk Wrestling, the next week he'll do Meech's Musings. He hasn't figured all that out yet. He will continue to do shows where he's not the sole talking head like this. So Dad's Not Always on Wrestling is still going to be happening. Next Friday, 1 week from tomorrow, will be our next episode. We don't know what our topic is yet, but there will be an episode. The Greg Cherry Show, which came back last night prior to Big Business and will be airing every other week. Jeff may end up showing up on that show because it would be him and Greg, or him, Greg, and Matty Laws. Open mic night. He'll still be a contributor for on the weeks where he doesn't have some other familial obligation. He'll be there this Saturday. He'll be there at the end of the month for our wrestling karaoke. The bottom line is that he basically was just getting frustrated of doing the solo show like this, getting very little reaction and interaction in the comments, and not feeling like he's getting the support that you guys give me, you guys give to Aaron Rift, you guys give to some of the other podcasters out there. You know, his frustration lied in the fact that somebody was able to put out a message a few hours before a show and get 20, 30 questions submitted to them. And he's had posts up on his social media for over a month with no replies. It's frustrating, and I get it. If I'm being real, right here in this corner right now, it says I've got 2 people watching me. That can be frustrating. I know he gets more than that when he does Talk Wrestling, but that can be very frustrating. I also realize, though, that it's 9:30 in the morning where I am. People are at work. It's 12:30 in the afternoon on the East Coast. Not everybody is on lunch break at 12 o'clock. I realize the fact that a good chunk of my audience watches this on demand, watches this once it goes off the air. I accept that, so I don't let it frustrate me. But I can understand why it would frustrate Jeff. And we all support him here across the multiverse of media. Myself, Noah Foster, Statboy Mike, Statgirl Dory Lou, James Hebert, Datilla, Greg Cherry, Aaron Rift in the No DQ Galaxy, we all support Jeff in his decision. We're happy that Jeff is going to be coming back once WrestleMania is over for the solo shows. But I just wanted to take a minute and address that because some of you probably saw him on the show yesterday and were wondering what was up considering the announcement just a few days prior. Now that that's been said, if you missed it, go back in the archives. Check out Inside the Mind of the Renegade that I did on Tuesday, where I made my case for why Roman Reigns should retain at WrestleMania 40. How Hulk Hogan plays into things and how Cody Rhodes would end up finishing his story. Go back and check that out. Make sure that you check out, if you missed it last night, our watch-along coverage of AEW Big Business. Go back, listen to us talk about the show. It was a damn good show. We don't have any watch-alongs until WrestleMania week at this point, unless something gets added in the interim. We have no watch-alongs coming up until Supercard of Honor and Hall of Fame the Friday going into WrestleMania weekend. So we get a little bit of a reprieve, a little bit of a break there. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel as I review TNA Impact, and I will review NWA Power tomorrow. I was supposed to do it today, but with having the watch along last night and then having to go back and rewatch the shows so I could actually take my notes, I didn't have the time to get through the 1 hour of NWA Power. I will watch that tonight, either before or after Impact, and I will review it tomorrow, I promise. Until then, thank you guys for joining me and tuning in today. I greatly appreciate it, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
Thank you, JJ. Appreciate you.